Hey there, and welcome to the CFS Recovery channel, where we are dedicated to helping people just like you recover from chronic fatigue syndrome and fix their chronic pain. Now, if you're tired of feeling drained, stuck in pain, and in constant discomfort, you're in the right place. Over the years, we've helped hundreds of people reclaim their energy and vitality, and we're here to do the same for you. So today, I'm excited to present to you our top 5 most popular videos about brain retraining specifically for pain, combined into a single comprehensive series. These are videos that resonated the most with our audience, and we believe they contain the most valuable information for anybody looking to overcome CFS and chronic pain. So grab a pen and paper, make yourself comfortable, and get ready to take some notes. And of all people, I know that recovering from CFS and chronic pain can be a challenging and overwhelming process, but I'm here to support you every single step of the way. So let's get started. Let's work together to create a healthier, more vibrant future for you. Let's dive right in. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Miguel here, and today I want to talk about the #1 brain retraining exercise that helped me recover the most. And so, if I were to list all the exercises that I did for brain retraining, I'd lose track of them. There are probably a dozen or so. But the #1 exercise that helped, and the one that my doctor said that would help the most, that he had me doing it every day when I was in recovery, was this exercise where I visualize the pain centers in my brain increasing and glowing, and then kind of dimming out and the light going down. So what does that mean? What are even the brain centers in the brain? What is that? So they did studies showing that there's 16 centers in your brain meant for processing pain. Now, I'm going to break it down. Basically, your brain has 16 pain centers. Now, these centers are not just for pain, they're also for processing other senses like smell, taste, touch, sound, things like that. I'll list the rest right here. But essentially, those areas in your brain are meant for processing all of those things along with pain. So what happens is, over time, if you're in chronic pain, you're constantly feeling pain over long periods of time, what happens is, typically maybe it's like 10% pain, 90% senses. Well, in extreme cases, those areas of your brain can actually shift to 50% pain processing and 50% sensory processing. So what that means is you could hear a sound, you could see a bright light, you could feel a touch, and it will actually process pain, which is crazy. That explains why when you hear loud sounds, when you're in lots of bright settings, maybe someone turns the lights on, maybe something's too noisy, it can cause headaches and things like that. That's because it triggers the pain centers in your brain. It's too stimulating for you. So there's an article written by Dr. Moskowitz, I believe it's pronounced Moskowitz. Essentially, it's talking about how to retrain the brain. And see, the problem with most people is they want things that have immediate results. Now, if you want something that's immediate results, obviously the easiest thing is inhaling, exhaling, doing deep breathing exercises. But if you do that alongside with this, you'll get some pretty solid results. But to get lasting results, to the point where you no longer have to practice them and the results, you feel them kind of indefinitely, you need to practice some kind of brain retraining. For chronic pain specifically, you need to practice it for 4 to 6 weeks without seeing any results for it to have an effect. And that's why most people, it's so hard for them to get out of that chronic pain pattern. It's all right, I feel like there's something crawling in the bushes behind me. Anyways, it typically, people need to be dedicated and motivated to get rid of the pain. And what happens is, in that article, he specifically says, you need to see every episode of pain as an opportunity to rewire your brain. And so for me, I remember when I started really getting better, I would push myself to actually look and try to cause these symptoms to come up. So that way, when I feel that pain, then immediately I'm trying to refocus my brain on something else and reshift it to something else. And so that's something I can touch on in another video. But essentially, the exercise is, you want to imagine these pain centers in your brain. Think about them like glowing areas. When you feel pain, let's say for me, a lot of it was like tension headaches and tension behind my eyes when I started getting better and I started looking at screens more. So you want to close your eyes and imagine, you inhale, you imagine those centers in your brain glowing molten hot red. When you inhale, they glow more. Then when you exhale, you see those kind of red areas just slowly fading away. And you inhale again, see those areas expanding, exhale, see those areas dimming down. And so what that does, it gives your body and your brain the feeling that it's in control, and the feeling that, you know, it gives it power over the pain. Because, you know, so literally just try that right now. Close your eyes, okay? Think about what kind of pain you're feeling. Feel that pain connecting to a certain area in your brain. Doesn't have to be a specific place, but just in your brain, feel where that pain is happening. I want you to see that glowing red hot dot. Inhale, see that thing glowing, just shining red hot. Exhale, and see the light getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And there's probably a little bit of light left, so let's inhale again. So inhaling, you're seeing it glow again, but it's not glowing as bright. Exhale. So now you'll see it dim even more to the point where there's just, you know, a little glimmer of red light. Inhale again. See all that red light glowing. Feel that pain expanding. Exhale. Feel that pain slowly going away. And now the light should almost not be visible. Now just visualize your brain being completely dark. No red at all. So your body should feel significantly better than it was just 2 minutes ago. And so you can feel right now the effects of something like this exercise where, you know, you're visualizing the pain and visualizing it going away. For me, when I was in the hospital and they first taught me about this exercise, I was still in a wheelchair at that point, and it was helping me immediately. But then maybe 30 minutes, 60 minutes later, I would start feeling the headaches slowly coming back, and I would start, you know, feeling the symptoms slowly coming back, the painful legs, things like that. But I would just keep practicing that. And over time, I had to do it less and less. So these kind of brain retraining exercise and meditation, it's very intense in the beginning of your recovery because you're really needing to get out of that hole. For me, it was a mixture of doing the brain retraining exercises, a completely different environment I was in, which is, get this, pretty crazy, but I was in the hospital for 4 weeks in ICU. Then they're like, okay, your liver, your body, your nerve tests are all completely fine. They check out. We have to send you home, but if you do want to stay here and work with a doctor one-on-one, we have an extra room in the psychiatric ward. So if you're up for it, you can be a voluntary patient and stay there so you can learn from the doctor. Long story short, I stayed there for about 3.5 weeks. Honestly, one of the best, craziest, wildest, honestly, most fun times of my life. If you want me to break that down in another video, I could literally do a full-on story time, like 30 minutes long. We did some pretty crazy stuff in there in a good way. It was great. Like, I made friends with all the people there. They were great people. I learned a lot. That was one of the turning points because it shifted my environment, but that's where I learned all of these things from my doctor, because I got to work with him every day, which is the main reason I agreed to stay in a place like that. But anyways, going off on a tangent here, back to the main point, that is the most impactful brain retraining exercise that worked for me, that I saw results from, that even to this day, if I think of one exercise that came up, one exercise that impacted me the most, it had to be that specific exercise. I don't really have a name for it. I should probably name it or something. I should probably trademark it, or I'm joking. But yeah, seeing those pain centers glowing and then diminishing. It got to the point where, you know, I really understood that these episodes of pain were not negative things. They're opportunities to rewire your brain. You know, when your brain wants to go down one route of chronic pain, you rewire it and force it to go down another route. That's the whole point of neuroplasticity and brain retraining. You're retraining it to go a different route. So when you are experiencing this pain, you know, for me, I didn't see it as something negative. It got to the point where I was like, great, I got symptoms to work with. I can start, this is where the practice happens. Like, this is literally the practice. This is where it counts the most, when I'm in pain. And then over time, the pain was less and less. And like I said, I would even push myself so that I could feel symptoms, so that I could, you know, work on retraining the brain. So maybe I'll do another video where I actually draw it on a diagram, what I mean by the pain centers, and how, you know, it goes from 10% pain to 90% processing senses. In extreme cases, it goes to 50% pain, 50% processing senses. But I hope that helps a lot. I'm sure it will. We did that very quick exercise. Try that. try that multiple times a day. You know, the more you do it, the better you will get. Honestly, it was honestly life-changing for me. So if you enjoyed this video, if you got some value out of it, hit the like button below, comment down what other kind of videos you would like to see me create, other topics you want me to cover. I have a bunch ready. Like I said, I'm going to try to release 2 to 3 of these a week, but just, you know, appreciate the support on the channel. You know, I do this to help you guys because, you know, I feel like I learned all of these things on my journey, so I just want to help you guys on your journey. Hopefully one day you'll be messaging me and we'll be laughing about this whole thing and being like, hey, remember that time when I was super sick, reached out to you, you showed me this exercise and now I'm so much better. And that's actually happened with a couple people. You know, they've felt better. One person in particular that's fully recovered. I'm looking at stories and she's like freaking partying now. So she really has her life back. She has a family and everything. But you know, if I can do it, if other people can get better, then I have no doubt that you can get better. Obviously your situation isn't exactly the same as mine. You might have different stressors, different things that make you tick, different symptoms. But at the end of the day, you know, the brain is the brain, science is science. An exercise this will 100% help you move the needle forward and help you towards your full recovery. So I hope you have a great day. If you're struggling right now, then just, you know, stay strong, keep going. Watch my other videos where I talk about a few different topics. If you haven't already, I'm going to say this in every video, but watch the main video where I break down the science to my recovery. It's where I talk about almost everything. I give a general overview of everything the doctor taught me. It's not super in depth, but you know, it's very general of all the different ideas he taught me, and it's a lot of people have found it very helpful. So I'm signing off here. Stay strong and continue on your way towards a healthy and lasting recovery. I'll see you guys next time. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Miguel here with CFS Recovery. Today I'm going to be answering a question which is a continuation of another video I made, which is up here, the #1 brain retraining exercise that helped me recover. Now, a lot of people ask me, when is the best time to use these brain retraining exercises? How often should I do them? And how long should I do them for? Those are pretty much the 3 main questions I get asked all the time. And it's a really great question. And I think in this video, I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into that brain retraining and answer those questions. Well, I'll tell you a little story. When I got out of the hospital, I had been sick for about 5 years. I got out of the hospital and I was slowly walking again. I was back out into the real world. So of course, I was pushing my body a little bit more than I was used to for the past year. Because keep in mind, I had been bedridden for 8 months. After 8 months, I was in the hospital, then they released me and I learned all the brain retraining stuff and I was able to go out into the real world. Now, I was still feeling a lot of symptoms when I got out of the hospital. And it's not like it just went away overnight. It's not like I just did a bunch of brain retraining in the hospital and then as soon as I got out, I was completely normal. No, there was still a lot of stuff that I had to deal with leaving the hospital. So brain retraining is actually an ongoing thing. It never really stops, never really ends. Really, it comes down to being aware of what you're feeling physically and mentally. So you always got to catch your thoughts, catch your thinking patterns. Whenever you're thinking negative, whenever you're starting to worry, whenever you're feeling anxious, you want to catch yourself in those thoughts. And even something as simple as redirecting your thoughts to something else, that's a form of brain retraining. That's changing the pathways in your brain. So let's say you're going down one path and it's going down a set path. So it's used to just being on autopilot, going down some negative pathway or negative thinking or constant worrying. Well, you actually changing that path of those thoughts is technically a form of brain retraining. Now it becomes even more powerful when you're feeling physical symptoms. So you just want to catch yourself feeling these symptoms, whether it's a headache or your skin is burning or you're getting aches everywhere. You want to catch yourself at those times when you're feeling that stuff, and you want to do the brain retraining then, right there on the spot. So for me, it didn't really matter where it was. I could be sitting in the back of a car, being driven somewhere and have a little bit of a headache. I would close my eyes for just 1 or 2 minutes, really, that's all it took, and do that brain retraining exercise of having the pain centers glowing and then having them dim down and having the pain slowly go away. So other times I would be at a mall with my girlfriend and she would be shopping for something, and me just walking around the mall would make me start feeling some symptoms. So I would sit down, close my eyes, 1, 2, even 3 minutes, and do that exercise. And it was a constant thing going on throughout the day. This is not something that you have to schedule in your calendar and make sure you sit down and find a quiet place, make sure you're all locked in and everything has to be perfect around you. No, this is something that's very flexible, and it's something that you can really do anywhere. Maybe you're waiting in a parking lot, waiting to pick someone up. Maybe you're waiting for the microwave to go down 2 minutes. This is something you could do very easily when you're in that stage. Now, the interesting thing is a lot of times we forget that we can actually affect our level of pain. So for me, I would actually forget it all the time. I'd be sitting there or lying there with a headache or having some tension in my head after I got out of the hospital. Every time I would try to expand my activities, my body would need that adjustment period where I would feel symptoms, and I would forget that I actually had these tools at my disposal. So all of a sudden it would click, then I would remember, and that's when I would actually start applying that stuff. You know, it wasn't perfect. I wasn't doing it every single time I had pain. I would do it when the pain got to that point of being, you know, very annoying and I wanted to get rid of it. That's when I would practice it the most. And in the beginning, you're gonna be doing it a lot more versus down the road when you start getting a little bit better and you start feeling less symptoms, you won't actually need to do it that much because you won't feel the need to do it. If you can carry on your daily life and there's some minor symptoms here and there, those will eventually go away. It's also very important, the mental aspect of dealing with symptoms. So when you feel symptoms, my automatic response for about 5 years was to start worrying, get anxious, start thinking of what could happen next, or wondering if this is gonna snowball into a huge crash. And that really did me no good. So every time I would have physical or psychological symptoms like worrying, anxiety, fear, you know, I would try to solve it right away and attack it head on if it was really bothering me. If it was something that was just kind of lingering in the background, then, you know, it didn't bother me too much and I would just do whatever I was doing during the day. So that's a huge thing too, is remembering that you actually have this tool at your disposal. And like I said in my previous video, it's not gonna work right away and the pain isn't gonna go away over a short period of time. It's gonna take a few weeks or months. For me, honestly, it took me about 18 to 24 months. So a year and a half to 2 months to really get rid of the pain and actually live like completely normal and not have any symptoms at all. I was getting a few headaches here and there. I was staring at a screen quite a bit. That was one of the things that would trigger some burning sensations in my head. Same with palpitations, but you wanna use the brain retraining for those lingering things. You know, if you're getting like palpitations, you can't really do brain retraining to get rid of that because it goes by so fast. Like it happens in a split second and before you know it, it's gone. You wanna do the brain retraining for stuff that's lingering throughout the day, that's really bothering you or annoying you, or you find it's hindering your recovery. So for me, it was the headaches, it was the burning sensation all over my body and over my head, and it was the worrying of what was gonna happen next and if I was gonna keep going downhill. Because if you've watched my other video right up here, I talk about how when you're recovering and you're on the right path, then you're gonna recover, then your body's gonna dip a little bit, then you're gonna recover, then you're gonna dip a little bit, and then you're gonna recover and dip a little bit. It's not gonna be a perfect straight line to recovery. So just keep that in mind. When you do have those dipping periods, it's it's extremely crucial that you do those brain retraining exercises or go down a different thinking route or a different thinking pattern and just not be stuck in that same negative cycle of worrying, and then that leads to more symptoms, and then that leads to more worry, which leads to more symptoms, and it's just like a snowball. So you want to cut that right in its path and stop that anxiety loop and that fear loop, because that's what's going to keep you in the same place. Instead, do the brain retraining exercises for any physical pain that you're having. And you won't remember every single time you have pain. There are going to be times when you're going throughout your day, you've been dealing with this, let's call it a headache, for a few hours, and then you remember, you know what, man, I had this brain retraining tool in my back pocket. Let me go use that. It's not gonna be perfect, but at the end of the day, take it day by day, pace yourself. Don't expect change to happen overnight. Like I said, it's been shown that most people need to be doing the brain retraining activities for 4 to 6 weeks with seeing minimal, if not any results, for you to see impact. So a lot of people, they'll try it for half a day, or they'll try it like 2 or 3 times and they won't see any difference at all. And they'll ask, oh, why is it not working? Well, it's because you didn't do it properly. You didn't stick with it. you weren't consistent with the brain retraining. So it's something that you constantly got to do, and do it multiple times a day. It doesn't mean you have to do it for 5 or 10 or even 15 minutes in a day. Do it for like 30 seconds or a minute, even 2 minutes. Right? It doesn't have to be this crazy thing that you have to schedule around. Just do it as you're going throughout your day. In this video, I'm going to be talking about chronic fatigue syndrome versus fibromyalgia. Now, having been someone who's experienced both severe fatigue and severe pain, chronic pain all over my body, I feel like I'm someone who is qualified to talk on this because I've actually experienced it myself. Let's rewind the clock a little bit. When I first started developing a lot of these symptoms, it usually started off as a lot of anxiety, a lot of wiredness, a lot of that buzzing sensation, those vibration feelings all over my body. It started off as like insomnia, lots of IBS, food sensitivities, and then it turned into lots of fatigue. And it wasn't until about year 2 and 3 when I got really, really bad pain. I started to develop very extreme pain in terms of migraines, headaches. Tension headaches were almost always there. For a few years, I had it almost every single day, as well as body aches and burning sensations all over my skin. I think that's really common for people with fibromyalgia. Now, I'm not saying that I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I'm just saying the amount of pain that I dealt with, I feel like depending on what doctor I would have went to, I could have been diagnosed with a lot of different things. And even then, it's not so important to be labeled a certain thing. Even if you get diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, even if you get diagnosed with fibromyalgia, at the end of the day, do they really have a solution for you? Sometimes they do. Most of the time they don't, and it's really just a band-aid fix. For example, I know some people who had fibromyalgia and then they were prescribed to do ketamine therapy, which can help for some people, but I never went down that road. I tried a bunch of different things. So really, it's just two different labels on the same problem. It's a hypersensitive nervous system. Now, when we talk about fibromyalgia, I'm going to talk more about the chronic pain side of things because, I can speak on this because I experienced it quite a bit. I've done a lot of research on this. My pain, most of the time, was 10 out of 10, especially during adjustment periods. It was really bad to the point where I didn't even want to walk around my house. I didn't even want to go to the washroom because my body hurt so bad. The solution to dealing with chronic pain is doing brain retraining for chronic pain, because you can totally retrain these pain centers, and I'll save that for the other video up here where I dive really deep into that. This video, I want to keep it more general of how chronic fatigue syndrome ties into fibromyalgia and how they play into each other and how they're both very similar and deal with the same issue, a hypersensitive nervous system disorder. So if you wanted to learn more about the science of the chronic pain and how to deal with that, how to overcome it once and for all, not just temporarily, but for good, make sure to click that video up here. At one point, actually at my worst, there was this one night I actually felt paralyzed, as in I felt pins and needles all over my body, and I literally could not roll over in bed because when I tried to roll over, it was extremely hard to breathe, and it felt like someone was just squeezing my bones from the inside out, and just like, yeah, I can't even describe it. If you have a lot of chronic pain at those extreme levels, you know what I'm talking about. It also feels like you're kind of being electrocuted or burned. There's like burning sensations on your skin. And this one night, my dad actually, because I told him and my girlfriend at the time, she was there helping me. I stayed up essentially all night, didn't get a wink of sleep because I was in so much pain. My dad, I told him not to touch me because everything hurt. So my dad, he was just testing it out. So he put his hand on my shin, just to place his hand on me, just to hold my leg. And it literally felt like someone took a baseball bat and swung it into my shin. And growing up, I used to play in the playground a lot. I know what it's like to have the scooter slam into your shin or ankle. I know what it's like to get a slap shot hockey puck to your shin, right? To get hit with a hockey stick or to fall on concrete. I know those pains. This was the worst, one of the worst pains I've ever felt. It literally felt like someone winded up and hit me in the shin. And, the pain, it is real. It is real pain. But what I didn't realize, and what he told me months after I got better, we talked about that night again. I was like, Dad, remember that time where I was literally paralyzed and you just touched my leg and I was in excruciating pain? You know what he told me? You know what's crazy, Mig? He calls me Miggy. You know what's crazy, Miggy? I didn't even touch you. I just hovered my hand over your shin. I did not even touch you. And I was like, what? That is insane, because I literally felt like someone hitting me in the shin with a baseball bat. And so a lot of this pain, what we need to understand is there's a difference between chronic pain and acute pain. Two different things. And I have a lot of videos talking about this, breaking these concepts down, especially with the brain retraining guide for chronic pain, which you can find that video right up here. I also have a guide for it, which you can find in the link in the description. Now, for acute pain, I'm actually going to read the definition of acute pain. Acute pain is a sudden, sharp pain that lasts less than 6 months. Acute pain acts as a warning sign to your body that it is unsafe and its health has been compromised. A common belief is that acute pain is mild and temporary, but in fact, acute pain is very complex. So an example of acute pain is you fall off your motorcycle and break your elbow, right? Obviously, that's gonna hurt. And not just in that moment, but the day after, the week after, the month after, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt to move your elbow, but that is your body's way of telling you, hey, do not move your elbow because it's trying to heal right now. Another example would be if you stub your toe into the corner of the table. So I have a table right here, right? If I run into that with my toe, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt for probably 15 to 20 seconds, and then it's gonna start to slowly subside. No problem. Maybe I run into that table 5 times in a row, and it's still fine. The pain is gonna come after 15 to 20 seconds, it's gonna be gone. That's an example of pain being sent from your body to your brain. That's acute pain. And what happens is over time, let's say I walk into the corner of this table 50 times. Eventually, my brain is gonna catch on and be like, okay, we gotta be extra careful around that. So every time we walk by that corner of the table, we're gonna trigger a little bit of pain. And so every time I walk by this, without even walking into the table, my brain is gonna send pain from up here to my body. So it's the other way around. In acute pain, it's my body to my brain. In chronic pain, it's my brain to my body. And it's a warning signal. It's to try to protect you. And so chronic pain is long-standing pain that persists beyond the usual recovery period or occurs along with a chronic health condition such as arthritis. Chronic pain may be on and off or continuous. It may affect people to the point that they can't work, eat properly, take part in physical activity, or enjoy life. Does that sound familiar? That sounds exactly like what I had. For example, I would always get a really stiff neck and my shoulders would be stiff. So I tried going to physio. They did dry needling, I tried massages, I tried acupuncture, I tried chiropractor treatments, and while it would help temporarily, it would always come back and my neck would stiffen up, right? Same thing with my body, same thing with the tension headaches. I thought I had TMJ, which I did a little bit because I was jaw cleansing because I was so stressed. But eventually what I realized is that I can massage my jaw muscles and the pain would go away a little bit, but eventually the headaches would come back because it was a mix of multiple things. So when it comes to fibromyalgia, people get that label because the chronic pain is more obvious and apparent and it's a bigger problem than fatigue. But typically people with chronic pain or fibromyalgia also have some fatigue because when you do suffer with lots of pain, it's very draining on you, not just emotionally, but physically. The pain is almost like an energy leak in your body. Think of your body having this bucket of energy. If there's a leak where there's a constant energy flow out of your body, eventually it's going to get drained. And so that's what chronic pain is. It's really debilitating. That's why, like we saw in this definition over here, it may affect people to the point that they can't work, eat properly, take part in physical activity, or enjoy life because the quality of those activities is extremely low, and sometimes it's hard to even be present in those moments because you're focusing on not moving too fast or not doing too much versus actually enjoying the things you're doing. So with fibromyalgia, the main concern is pain versus other things like heart palpitations or high heart rate or extreme fatigue. But you can actually have an overlapping of all of these symptoms. So for me, I had all of it. In addition to the fatigue, I had tons of anxiety, tons of chronic pain, and that's really a case of the body gone wild. The way my doctor described it to me was your brain has these certain limiters it places on itself. Kind of like with cars, there's limiters on the engine so it doesn't just explode, right? That's why a Honda Civic can go 220 kilometers an hour while a Ferrari can go 300 kilometers an hour. And don't quote me on that, I'm not the best with cars, it's just an example. We have a basic car, then we have a sports car. We have a daily driver, that a typical family has, or we have something that's designed to race on a track. They have different settings on them and different limitations. If we tried to make the Honda Civic go 300 kilometers an hour, the engine would start to fall apart. It just wasn't built to handle it. And just like cars, our bodies weren't built to handle so much stress. And when we reach our stress threshold, and if you haven't learned about the stress threshold, make sure to watch this video up here where I really break that down. If we go above and beyond our stress threshold, our brain starts to put limitations on our bodies in the form of A, fatigue, B, anxiety, or C, chronic pain. For me, I felt a lot of anxiety coming on first. And then when I ignored it and I just kept adding on stress or kept maintaining that level of stress, it turned into lots of fatigue. In addition to the anxiety and the fatigue, the brain threw in this other layer of limiters, which was the chronic pain. And over time, once you get to that stage where you have all three of those, it's really hard to get out. It's almost like getting stuck in quicksand because all of those symptoms feed off each other. All of those symptoms have a direct effect on our mood, on our emotions. And at the end of the day, the more emotionally charged we are, the more worry, anxiety, fear, frustration, anger that we feel, the more hopeless we feel, the more we go into the sympathetic state of fight or flight. So it's almost like a chain reaction, right? It's this domino effect. But really, chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, essentially I see it as the same thing because there are people in the Recovery Jumpstart program who have both, who maybe have more pain, maybe have more fatigue. But usually it's a mix of a lot of stuff, especially during adjustment periods. That's where a lot of these symptoms flare up. People in the program, they're recovering with the exact same approach, but multiple different diagnoses, right? Even people with mitochondrial dysfunction, people who have had COVID and they've been stuck for a while and their whole nervous system is left confused. It's the same approach. We need to work on calming down the nervous system, shifting more from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic state so we're not hyper reactive to every single stimulus. And when we do that, then the symptoms start to go down. Then the chronic pain starts to go down and the fatigue goes down. The brain starts to take the limiters off of the body. So chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, very similar. In my experience, both can be placed under the umbrella of a hypersensitive nervous system issue, along with the dozens of other symptoms that people experience with this. But of course, as always, make sure to consult with a doctor and do the proper testing necessary to rule out any other potential health issues you have. If everything comes back negative or there's nothing that they find that explains all of the symptoms that you're feeling, you can rest assured that this is a hypersensitive nervous system issue. So if you were experiencing a lot of these symptoms and you're kind of lost, this is exactly what I help people with. I help them get unstuck and start making progress on their journey. And we really break it down into simple concepts like this. My whole goal is not to add more to people's plate and have them doing more and learning more confusing things. My whole goal is to actually simplify everything because that's the way to get out of this thing. Right? It's to simplify it, not to make it more confusing. And once we simplify it, once you guys really understand what's going on and you know black and white, and you internalize the principles of recovery, recovery becomes inevitable. This is going to be a very quick, short, straight to the point video of how to do the brain retraining exercise for chronic pain. I'm going to walk you through it. This is a powerful exercise that helped me completely get rid of my chronic pain. And someone like me, I was suffering with pain all over. It was a 10 out of 10 almost all the time. Headaches, migraines, burning sensations all over my body. So this is something that I've tried myself. And I actually learned about this exercise from a famous doctor called Dr. Moskowitz. And he's actually used this exercise to help thousands of people around the world deal with chronic pain, even deal with things like neck injuries, spine injuries, people with fibromyalgia. So I'm not just saying that, that has literally been documented and proven to help people. In terms of time frames, sometimes it takes a few days, sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes a few weeks for you to actually see very good results. But the most important thing is you have to be consistent with something like this and continue doing it, because essentially what we're doing is we're forcing the brain to travel down a different pathway. And when it comes to neuroplasticity, repetition is key. So let's get right into it. A lot of people ask, when is the best time to do this brain retraining exercise? Well, the best time, there is no perfect time to do it. Ideally, you want to do this before the pain gets above a 7 or 8, although it may still work when your pain really gets up there, but you want to do it when the pain is somewhat manageable and not the worst it's been. And you want to do this exercise at least 20 minutes a day, spread out throughout the day. Now, obviously, the more you do this, the better results you'll get, but do this for at least 20 minutes a day for at least a couple of weeks before saying, nope, this doesn't work for me. And that's the big thing. A lot of people just give up way too soon when they're trying this exercise. Now there's 4 simple steps to this exercise. Number 1 is going to be identifying the pain. So just close your eyes, take notice of where you're feeling the pain in your body. Is it in your head? Is it behind your eyes? You want to be very specific. Is it somewhere in your body? For me, I used to get pain all over my head, all over my body. It was like a burning sensation. Now, once you identify that pain, you want to connect that to your brain's pain centers. Now, imagine there's glowing areas in your brain. There's 16 of them. Now, really feel how they're connected and associate that glow in your brain with the pain that you're feeling in your body. Step number 3 is just keep your eyes closed. Just relax, start doing some slow, deep breathing, relax the body, but I want you to focus on expanding those pain centers in your brain just a little bit, right? We want to expand those pain centers in the brain, and at the same time, you're going to feel pain increase just a little bit. Feel the pain increasing just a tad. We don't want it to get too out of control. Step 4 is we're going to have these pain centers in our brain start dimming down, right? So we want to see the glow start to diminish. We want those epicenters to get smaller in your brain, and at the same time, because they are associated with the pain you're feeling in your body, you're going to feel the pain in your body slowly start to dissipate. Now we're going to increase it back up again. This is where we go back between step 3 and step 4 a few times, just to show our brain that it's in control of the level of pain that it's experiencing. So increase that glow just a little bit, not quite as much as before. Right? We want it to be less than it was before. And then we want to bring that glow back down. So bring that glow back down. It should be a little bit less glow than before. And you're going to repeat this process 2 or 3 more times. And so in a nutshell, that's what you want to do multiple times a day. And that's when you're going to start retraining your brain and really show it that it's in control, that it can actually affect the level of pain it is experiencing. That's all. If you have any questions about this, then I also have a simple brain retraining guide down in the link below. Very simple. I break it down into 4 very easy steps, and there's a visual as well. So that way you can see how to do it. You can actually keep that on your phone as well. So you have a guide right there. It's a brain retraining guide for chronic pain. Just click the link down below and you'll be able to get access to that. Now, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It helps the channel grow a lot. I hope you took a lot of value from this video. Now, if you're ready to take recovery to the next level, I highly recommend our Recovery Jumpstart program. It's an interactive program designed to guide you through the different stages of recovery. It also helps you avoid common mistakes and also provide you with the support and accountability you need to make progress. One of the most unique aspects of our Recovery Jumpstart program is the hands-on support you'll receive from your very own assigned Thriver coach. They're gonna help you get back to thriving health. So they're gonna work with you to create a specific plan tailored to your unique situation and guide you through each stage of recovery. And you're gonna have check-in calls so we can work together as a team, where you'll be getting advice from someone who was once bedridden, struggling with CFS, and is now fully recovered. Not only are you working with a coach who will guide you through this, you also get to meet other people around the world, other thrivers just like yourself. And when you're surrounded by people with that kind of mentality, who are not victims, who don't just complain about their symptoms and don't really have hope for a future, when you're surrounded by people who are willing to do whatever it takes to get to that next level, it helps you stay on track, because not only does it hold you accountable, it makes you feel like you're actually part of a recovery team versus going through this journey all on your own. If you did want some extra help, or if you wanted to just learn about our Recovery Jumpstart program, click the link down below where you can check out our application page. It tells you all about the program, exactly what we do, how we help you. And if you feel this is a good fit, then you can apply for the program. You have to go through a quick questionnaire. It's just a few minutes long. And if you are a good fit, and we can hop on a call where you're going to talk to one of our team members, and we'll see if you truly are a good fit for the program. If you are, we would love to walk side by side with you on this journey and show you just how you can unlock thriving health. Now, always remember, you are a thriver, and you are just one mind shift away from living life with thriving health. See you in the next video.